What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Stoppage Time Stooges. I'm Christian, joined by Ricardo and Jacob. As you can see by the title, we're going to be discussing the Champions League. We're now halfway through the league phase, so kind of a good benchmark to discuss what we've thought about it, teams that are doing well, teams that are not doing well, surprises, disappointments, basically everything you can imagine in a halfway point we'll be talking about tonight. But no Andrew. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it tonight, but we will definitely be talking about basically everything you can imagine. But before we get into all the good stuff, guys, how are we doing?
Yeah. uh,
Been better?
yeah. Good way to sum it up. How are you doing?
Uh, as Ricardo knows, I'm a bit tired as we're recording this at a little bit before 10:30.
By the
But
way, it's our 50th episode.
yeah, another benchmark.
How about that? 50
Yeah.
episodes down. God knows how many more we got left.
Hopefully many more.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
But yeah, let's get right into it. Before we get into talking about any teams, I think it's important for us to discuss kind of what we thought about the league phase. It's in year one, so plenty of time to kind of see how this thing works out. But I guess Ricardo, I'll start with you. What have you thought of the league phase and kind of how it's played out?
I mean, going into it, I definitely wasn't a fan of it. I thought the original format was fine. Playing 6 matches in the group stage, I thought was also fair. Obviously, with the format now, it's 2 more games, but it has grown on me a little bit more. I guess there's um, bigger matchups earlier on, if that makes sense, against bigger clubs are playing each other sooner, which I mean, I guess is what UEFA wanted. Um, but again, in terms of the players' sake, I guess it's just 2 more games, and it's already a very congested schedule. Um, but I mean, I pleasantly surprised, I guess. I'm kind of in the middle about it. I don't hate it as much as I thought I would, but I'm still not like in love with it, if that makes sense.
I hate it. I think it's stupid. Too many teams, too many games. It's hard to keep track. I just like it's like, oh wait, it's like this team is in 12th. I'm like, what does that even like what? I'm like I'm just confused. I'm like, is it over? Like, are they doomed? And to be fair, I haven't looked it over enough as far as the rules are concerned and how it actually works. But I think it's a little bit it's a lot to handle, in my opinion. I don't know why they felt the need to change it. The whole point of the Champions League is that it should be hard to get into, and when you add more teams to it, it delegitimizes it. This is like when people say, "Let's add more teams to the March Madness tournament." I'm like, why would you want to add more bad teams to the tournament? There's a reason they didn't get in because they weren't good enough. So why? So what makes you think they're good enough now? Like I understand, and if you add more teams to the Champions League, you make the Europa League worse. You make the Conference League worse. So what is the point? When a lot of these teams get sent to the Europa League anyway if they don't qualify. So I don't really get it. To me, I don't really see the point. Um. So, but other than that, it's great.
Why do we go through all the negatives and then say, it's great? I think it's fair, though. I think it's a fair way of looking at things.
I just don't understand like the why of like why they felt it was necessary.
It's money related.
Well, yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
Of course it is. It always is.
When in doubt, it's probably the reason.
Yeah.
The underlining reason in some way. For those who are watching and if they're still unaware of the format, so 1 through 8 will get an automatic bye per se into the round of 16. 9 through 24 will play in a playoff, so 9 will play 24, 10 will play 23, on and on. And then the remaining teams are just knocked out. No Europa League. They're just out of European competitions for the rest of the season. So, I think both of you guys have fair arguments. I'm interested to see how Matchday 8 plays out from a fan perspective because every game's going to matter. 18 games, I think 18 games will be played in one window on probably at a 3:00 window in, I guess, December, or it'll be in January, I think.
Yeah, January.
I mean, if Jacob's right in saying that it's a lot to handle, I mean, paying attention 18 games at once is never been done before. I mean,
Who the hell's gonna do that? What's
unless
gonna
you're a
happen
friend
when we
Derek
have?
who can
What's
somehow
gonna
watch like 10 college football games at once?
What's gonna
I mean,
happen when there's a VAR moment and they have to go to like the studio and they go, gee, which game? Wait, which game? Which game? Which one? I can't find it on the 85 screens I have to watch. I mean, I don't know. I just like again, the old adage to me goes with this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong. Was there anyone complaining that we didn't have enough teams in the Champions League?
nope. Not at all.
It's the Champions League, not the Champions plus these couple teams league. I don't even think I get this revved up about this, but I thought about it. I'm like, geez, this is stupid. Like, what the hell are we doing? But hey, whatever helps Paramount Plus and TNT Sports in England and whatever the hell it's called in Spain, and I don't know. I'm getting off my rocker here, but if it's all about the cash cow, then God bless. Otherwise, it's stupid.
I will say, I think I've enjoyed watching different opponents every week or every other week. I don't know if that would have been possible to implement in the previous, better system for a lot of people, but I think it is cool to have, you know what, you're going to go to this team, and then next week you're going to play this team, and you're never going to play these opponents again, at least until potential knockout matchup. So I think for me, at least, that's one of the things where I was like, you know what, that's pretty cool. Because it kind of keeps things on your toes. You don't really know what you're going to see every week. I think on the negative side, one thing we haven't touched on, I think watching teams kind of stat pad at the end of games is something we've never really seen before, especially in the Champions League. I mean, how many times have we seen like 7 or 8 goals from a team? Dortmund did it once, like against Celtic. I know on Matchday 1, Bayern scored like, I think 9 or 10. I think about 8 or 9 goals, something like that. It's just like, that's kind of the reality of it. Teams need to get their goal difference up in order to finish in the top 8. Because, I mean, we're going to see on Matchday 8, I'm sure some of these teams are going to have goal difference come into play on whether or not they finish in the top 8, whether they finish 9 through 24. And why some teams may not even get into that playoff. So I think that's maybe one of the negatives of this as well.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. I mean, yeah, I don't think, I don't know. I guess in the past it didn't happen as often, and it's happened 2 times at least in 4 games.
Are you referring to these big blowouts this early in the
where
Champions
teams,
League?
I mean, like, I remember in Matchday 1, Harry Kane, I don't think came off the pitch.
Yeah.
In like a game where they were up like 5, I think they were up 5-2 at one point, and then it stretched out to like 8-2, and then eventually I think it got to like the 9-2.
I mean, the Liverpool game, they still have Diaz on the field the whole game. I'm like, the game's over. Why is he still playing?
Yeah, that goes back to what I think it was Ricardo said about fixture congestion. Like, these players are like, usually, you know what, you're up 3-0 at home. Let me sub you off at the 65th minute, give you 25 minutes off heading into the weekend. Nope. I mean, like, I feel like that situation is something that's negative more for the players maybe than the fans, because they're like, oh, more goals, that's great. But like, those minutes are going to eventually like catch up on these players, because I mean, these 25 minutes at the end of matches will add up. So you never know. But All right, yeah, that's the opening for us. I think we're gonna bounce around, kind of discuss teams that have been, surprises, disappointments. So Ricardo, unfortunately, I'll have to start with you because I know you have a lot to say about one team named Real Madrid, currently in 18th. So take it away. What do you think of things at the current moment?
Oh man. um, I think I said last week that the panic meter was at like 7. I think it went up a little bit more again.
A little.
Little bit, little bit. I I don't want to say 8, but I'm tempted to say it. It's just I feel like it's more of the same in terms of like this team just doesn't play as a team. They're it- they don't play well together. I guess they're still somehow we're in November. It's November 6th right now. They're still trying to figure out how to play with each other, which is absurd. Um, and I feel like I have to obviously state Mbappe, who really has not been performing well, especially recently. I mean, 8 goals and 2 assists in 50 matches, or whatever. I mean, that's probably I don't know. That's kind of favoring him a little too much because in terms of actually what he's doing on the field, he's not scoring as much. He's not making the runs he's supposed to. It's just him and Vinny can't seem to figure it out together up front. So and just the number of times he runs offside. I'm gonna keep saying this. He's gonna win Ballon d'Or for for offside goals. Um, it's really frustrating to watch. You have all these really talented players, and they just still can't put it together. And I don't know if it's down to players, it's down to Ancelotti, it's all of them. It's a collective thing, and I don't know what it's gonna take really to put it all together. And I mean, I texted you guys this. I was like, maybe you bench Mbappe for a game, see how, or at least bring him off the bench, or something like that. See how he responds to it. But there's also the part of me where it's like, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be a team player necessarily, or a player that would respond well to that kind of move. Or so it's really a tricky situation, and I'm not going to use injuries as an excuse because Barcelona is a prime example of that. They have had several injuries, and they're playing. I mean, like the best team in the world right now. Um, it's yeah, I'm really just running out of things to say and saying the same things over and over again that they still can't figure it out. Ancelotti still can't figure out what the best 11 is. It seems like week in and week out, and losing at home to Milan feels like the almost like rock bottom because I mean it made it worse that Morata scored on us, which was former player, of course, had to score against us. Um, and like you said, in 18th, and they face Liverpool next. They face Atalanta, both on the road as well. So those are not going to be easy. I mean, it's they put themselves in a really tough situation, at least in the Champions League.
Yep. Jacob, what do you think of Real Madrid?
I have a lot of questions for Ricardo. Are you worried about Ancelotti?
In terms of like losing his job or
Yeah, maybe the hourglass is running out. I think we all think Carlo's great. I think Carlo's tremendous, but there is a common thread with Carlo, and the common thread is that he doesn't last long anywhere he goes. It's kind of like 3, 4, maybe 5 years, and that's it. And what year are we in?
Oof,
when did he
3,
dominate?
4?
I think it's 4.
4, I would say.
I think
So,
He's been at Real Madrid in this second stint since June of 2021.
but if you have his coaching track record up, check on the length of each of his tenures.
So prior to this, Everton, again, I still can't believe he was at Everton.
Yeah.
December of 2019 to May of 2021. So not even 2 years.
Or not even 2
Napoli
years.
was May of 2018 to December of 2019. So again, like kind of that 16 months area. Bayern, June of 2016 to September of 2017. Not long. Again, that first stint at Real Madrid was June of 2013 to May of 2015. So, I mean, Jacob's right. Since his job at Milan, which was
a
November of
while.
2001 to May of 2009.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Every other job has kind of been in that 16 to 24 months period, which is actually, I mean,
And he's overachieved in that regard from that of his own personal ambitions as far as sticking in this job for a relative while. But I mean, I don't think this is my thing. I just don't know if Vinny Jr. and Mbappe fit. And that's a problem. And this is something that I remember saying. I'm like, because even I mean, I love Mbappe, but I said, is there any possible way this doesn't work? Is there a sliver that?
And I think most of us were not that concerned.
I didn't think we did. I don't know. Part of me is like,
but...
I'm like, is this? I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, this is too good to be true. You know, he's never been a pure 9. He's always kind of been somewhat of a wing player. You know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of again, and I think Benzema said something recently about how.
Yeah, he's not a true man.
That the problem is that Mbappe and Vinny Jr. are both great, but they play the same. They're both great at the same exact position.
Very similar players too, which doesn't help.
So it's kind of hard to figure it out. But my thing with Real Madrid, at least from the game against Milan, was how bad the defending was.
Yeah.
That Morata goal, I mean, it's like they just fell asleep. It's like, okay, Luna makes a save, but like, you're just gonna let Morata run and freaking tap it.
Nobody was watching. Everyone watched.
I'm watching. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, let me rewind that. I'm like, no one running. They just stand.
I think it was Tchouaméni that was covering him, and then you just can't lose.
It was like a big time just brain fart across the board.
Yeah.
At least on that.
And I think it started with Tchouaméni giving the ball away.
He did.
And I know you guys, Ricardo and Andrew, you guys love Lucas Vazquez. He's not a right back. I'm sorry. You're never gonna convince me that he's a real right back. And I know he's played there because they don't need him to play winger anymore in the same way, and they don't really have much of a choice. I think they got to sign in January. They got to sign a real right back. They don't need to spend a lot of money. This isn't like, oh, go get Trent. This is like find like a Zappacosta. I know he's probably not available, but like someone of like that ilk, that caliber, like Wan-Bissaka, like level players, or Dalot, or like again, don't sign these players. But someone of their level, like someone you can get for like 25 million,
or a loan deal maybe.
Someone on loan. I think a loan probably would be better.
Yeah, that would be fine. Short term,
but you can't. A whole year or a whole at least rest of the season with Vazquez at right back, I just don't think is going to work.
And then if he gets injured too, like
and that too. If he gets hurt, then you really are in trouble.
Then Militao has to go out to the right.
You don't want that.
Yeah, it's too much mixing and matching.
And this is another thing that I would do, and I thought about this. When Alaba's back, put him at left back. How many years did he do that for Bayern?
I guess has Mendy been bad?
I wouldn't say.
Is Mendy good?
I feel like
there's much bigger issues than left.
No, I understand that, but I don't know. Mendy to me, like, he's never. Is he ever a part of the solution?
No.
Well, there you go.
I think that's probably why Real Madrid probably wanted Alphonso Davies.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ricardo. I don't remember you being a big Fran Garcia guy.
No, I'm not. He's literally only good at attacking.
I don't think he's the level of Real Madrid either.
So when Alaba's healthy, and again, that's a big if because he's battled injuries the last couple of years, stick him there. Doesn't hurt. He did it. I understand that he's more comfortable playing center back, and I guess I don't know if part of the reason he left was because he really wanted to not have to play left back anymore. I don't know if that's true, but I would put it. I'd try it out because he can do it, and. If you don't want to watch Mendy there anymore, then I think that Because if you can put Alaba at left back, you can keep Rudiger and Militao together. Versus if you put Alaba at center back, you're probably not gonna you're not gonna play Rudiger there because you have Alaba and Militao. So
Yeah.
I think it's something that's worth considering. Obviously, it's not gonna be back till I guess sometime later in the month. But
Yeah.
again, Real Madrid, they're disconnected. They're very disjointed at the moment. When I watch them play, it seems like it's a puzzle where the pieces are in the wrong spots. And I don't know. They don't have a lot of time to fix this.
Yeah.
No.
They've had multiple international breaks. It's not like Mbappe came in like July. Or excuse me, well he did, but like it's not like he was like a last minute
He had
window.
a break after the Euros. He did play in that Super Cup match, and I think it was August, but
Yeah.
he didn't have a full preseason.
He didn't.
He didn't. There's
but
not many excuses though.
Yeah, I don't think it's not like he was signed on like deadline day. Is my point rather? Like it's not like he was like brought in like after 2 games in or something. Like it wasn't like for example's sake, like when Atleti brought Conor Gallagher in, it wasn't that late in the window where it's. And again, if you don't want Mbappe, there's a lot of suitors that I can. Well, we'll take them off your hands in a heartbeat.
Well, those that can afford him that contract, but Chelsea maybe could. No, I'm not giving up on him yet.
We'll give you something.
It's too early.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
No, I'm joking.
I also don't think Real Madrid is the type of team that would be like, not a good season. We're gonna let you go. Like, I think it's gonna have to. It would have to be like,
unless you're Luka Jovic, but that's besides the point.
That's a much different level of player.
I'm kidding, obviously, but hey,
I mean, it's a fair point.
We'll give you some. We won't take him for free. We'll give you something in exchange. Who do you want?
All right. Give it like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be.
You can get anyone except Palmer, Caicedo, Reece James.
Caicedo's no untouchable. Whoa.
Caicedo's like kind of good now. Like really good. You see that goal he scored against Man U?
I did.
You know who couldn't score that goal? Enzo Fernandez. You knew what I was gonna say.
Before we move off of Real Madrid, I will say, and I talked to Ricardo about this. I think no Toni Kroos is something that it gets talked about, but I do think it doesn't get enough shine for how big of a miss he is.
I think the leadership is what they miss more than anything. Obviously, we know how good he was as a player, but I think the veteran leadership. Because the problem with the difference between him and Modric is Ancelotti trusted Kroos to play a lot more than he has with Modric in the last 2 years, where he clearly doesn't want to play Modric 90 minutes in a game. He doesn't have to play Modric 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Kroos, it's a little different. And in the midfield, they don't have Luka's a leader, but it's different. I don't know how else to explain it. Ricardo could explain it a lot better than I could, but it's a void that he can't necessarily fill in the exact same way. So I would agree with you there. And I would just say one last thing about the game. Real had their chances to go and affect the game, come back and win the game. I mean, Diaz missed that header. Diaz and Vinny both missed headers that were very makeable chances. Militao really booted that one cross. The game, I mean, obviously you see 3-1 and you say, that's a tough, handily, but no. They could have done something, but it just seemed like it was not their day at all.
Yeah, hasn't been recently. But it's worse that they had 9 days off, and because of the Valencia game, they got postponed because of I forget what it was, the storm,
the weather,
the weather that affected them. So they had plenty of time to prepare for this game. There was really no excuse for them to lose that,
especially at home.
Yeah,
on the back of
not
being embarrassed at home. Either. It is a good, yeah. Yeah.
They're not at their best.
They made them look a lot better than they've been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is part of the problem. They made them look like the team they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 4 games, 18th. So currently in a playoff position in that knockout round. We'll see how things shake out. As Ricardo mentioned, Liverpool away and Atalanta away next two, so does not get any easier. But let's talk about some teams before we get into the positives. Teams that have not done well or teams that have disappointed. So we'll go around the room, kind of discuss quickly. Anybody want to start?
I'll go with Juve.
Really? Okay.
I don't think they've been that good in the UCL. I know that they have a positive record per se, but 1-1 against Lille. They lost to Stuttgart. They barely beat Leipzig. I don't know. Considering how they've done so far in Serie A, which I think has been pretty good, it doesn't seem like the performances have aligned in this competition. I know that's like a interesting shout, and I'm not. I'm not. They haven't bad. It's just like
Expected better.
you expect a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing with them is a lack of goal scoring. It's been an issue, and that's not what we thought with Malta coming in. Like you thought Dusan Vlahovic would be one of the best strikers in Europe this season. Like clear cut, no doubt, going to give you like 25 to 30 goals across all competitions, and he might get there. But I feel like everything else around him has kind of been hit or miss. I know injuries have hit them, but like Koopmeiners has not been lighting the world on fire. I think their best signing, honestly, has been Conceição,
Yeah.
who's like kind of this pesky, like small, agile winger who can cause issues all the time. But like you can kind of go down the line.
Douglas Luiz
has been by far their. I mean, it's early, but he's not been anywhere near the level he showed at Villa. Not at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good shout. Ricardo, who do you have for disappointment?
I think you're going to say the team we were talking about before, so I won't say that team. I'm going to say, I guess I'll go with Bayern. Like they're I mean, level on points with Real Madrid, so definitely not great. I mean, they've lost. Who did they lose to? They lost to
Villa.
Villa, yeah, that was.
They got crushed by Barcelona at Barcelona.
Yeah, which that they could have won too. So I mean, they've scored 11, but they've conceded 7 too. So they're not exactly great defensively either. I just expected better from them, even though it is Vincent Kompany's first season. I mean, I feel like they could have gotten points out of those two games we talked about. So slightly disappointing, but probably nowhere near as disappointing as Real Madrid. I mean, that's the easiest pick, Real Madrid at least. But I'd say Bayern is not too far off.
Yeah, Ricardo knows who I'm going to talk about. 32nd place, no points, RB Leipzig. They have crazy stats. 4 goals scored for a team that's high flying in the Bundesliga. They have no goal. They have no points. They have had leads in 3 of their 4 matches and have lost every match. This week, as we're recording this in the first week of November, they were up 1-0 at Celtic, who again are not an easy team to play in Scotland, but they were leading in that match. They were leading against Juventus in the one that Jacob was talking about before. Juventus had a man down in that match on the road in Germany, and Leipzig somehow managed to give away 2 goals in the second half and lose. A man up. And they were up in Matchday 1 at Atletico Madrid and lost the match. So, I mean, they have nobody but themselves to blame. And this is a team that played Real Madrid very well in the round of 16 last year and have been one of the top teams in Germany for the last 5 or 6 years. To not have a single point after 4 match days is unacceptable. And, I mean, it doesn't get easier. They have a couple big ones coming up. I believe it's Inter. They have Villa. I know they have Sturm Graz, which is kind of that game you would think they should get 3 points, but I thought they were going to get 3 at Celtic. and
Yeah.
got 0. So, I mean, that's just brutal. And that's a team that has expectations, and kind of Red Bull as a whole kind of this expectation to be much better in the Champions League. To have both Salzburg and Leipzig currently outside the top 24, no bueno. No bueno. But that's enough negativity. Let's get to some positives. Why don't I start with Liverpool?
That's it.
It's really can't ask for much more. I kind of on the top of the world right now. One loss in all competitions, somehow lost to Nottingham Forest at home. Don't ask me why.
The
But
one time I bet on Liverpool, by the way. I should have bet on them against when they played my team.
But in terms of the Champions League, 10 goals, 1 goal allowed. I mean, can't ask for much better right now. Luis Diaz with a hat trick this week. Salah looks great. Gravenberg looks awesome in the midfield. They're finding ways to win in every way. I mean, look at this game this week. Leverkusen, it was 0-0, kind of sloppy first half, and then all of a sudden they just turned it on.
Really weird game.
Yeah, it was just kind of an uninspiring.
It just seemed like Leverkusen. It was like the engine. It was like they're driving a car and they just ran out of gas and they didn't think, let me just go stop at the gas station to fill up my car. It was like if they were like a machine, it just like fell apart. I'm like, hello, like you got a game to play. Like it just seemed like they fell. I didn't really get it for a team that was. I mean, it's like they didn't any big injuries. No,
pretty close to their best 11.
You know, and I understand it's Leverkusen versus Liverpool. It's in Liverpool, but still, I mean, for them to just combust in the second half and get walloped made really no sense to me at all. Where I was like, that's a real head scratcher.
Yeah, and one of the things I know Slot talked about it post match was that Boniface kind of played off the left. I kind of like exploit. I guess the plan was to kind of exploit Trent, but it did not work. I don't really remember Victor doing much in terms of attacking. Yeah, again, Leverkusen, the team we just didn't discuss in the disappointments. I've had some weird performances, not just in the Champions League, but kind of in the whole season as a whole. But yeah, in terms of Liverpool, it looks very good right now. Can't really complain. I mean, 1 goal conceded in 4 matches against teams that you've played. It's pretty impressive. I think when you're looking at, if you want to talk about standouts, just of guys that have kind of leveled up this year, I know I mentioned it last week. Gravenberg has been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. I think he's at that level, at least in terms of form. Cody Gakpo has been great. And I think what has impressed me about him is kind of just the decisiveness in the final third, not hesitating. He knows what he wants to do with the ball. He's very threatening at the moment, kind of just going as, both a guy who can go down the line, cut inside, score from long range. I think when you look at 2 standouts, Gravenberg and Gakpo stand above them all. I think we know what you can get from Salah. You know what you're going to get from Van Dijk. But yeah, I mean, everything's humming right now. It's early. It's in November. So there's a lot of time to still play at this level. But, I mean, if you told me in August or September that under Slot, Liverpool would be number 1 in the Champions League halfway through the league phase, I would say you're lying. I did not expect Slot to have this A-plus start to the season. You just can't expect that from a manager. I mean, look what all these other managers are doing in their first year in the Premier League. I mean, Ten Hag was great in the first year, but I mean, ever since, not so great. Amarin, we'll see how that works. Yeah. But it's so unpredictable to see how a coach will do in England in his first stint. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how this plays out. But let's touch on some other big teams, guys. Who do you think is impressed in the league phase so far?
Jacob, you should go.
You'd have to go with Inter, which is a surprise to no one. today. It was very just again vintage Inter.
Yeah.
1 goal, but it doesn't matter because the door is shut and you're not getting in. That's sort of their defense. The
Yeah.
door is locked and you can't pick the lock. You can't break the door down. It's not coming down because Villa's defense is a brick wall. Summer should have been the best. The fact that to me, I understand Emi Martinez is amazing. Summer should have won the Yashin Award. Not
Good shout.
in my opinion. I mean, Inter in Serie A were literally like unbeatable for most of the season. Sommer had like 16 clean sheets.
22 goals conceded in 38 matches.
Yeah.
But no, that goalie's not. I mean, I understand Villa's a nice, cute story, but are you kidding me? 22 goals in 38 matches. Think about how many games they didn't concede. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Inter have been great. They always have a plan. They know what they have to do, and they stick to it. If there was a team that I think really would want to win it this year because of they lost in the final 2 years ago, they got bounced by Atletico Madrid in a very tough way to lose a game and a set of 2 games rather. So I definitely think they'll have a chip on their shoulder in the UCL this year, because I think they can play with anybody.
Absolutely.
There's no team that they're not going to be outmatched versus anybody. If they're going to lose a game, it's just because they just didn't show up that day. But yeah, Inter for me.
Fair. I really thought you were going to go with a different team.
Who did you think I was going to go with?
I don't know. I thought you were going to go with Sporting just because they absolutely smashed City yesterday.
Well,
Gyökeres.
well, we're going to find out how much of a miracle worker Ruben Amorim really is.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, maybe he'll bring along
Because-
Gyökeres with them in the summer, but that's.
I'm very curious to see like what he can do with this Man United team because it's a tall order.
I mean, it's a good start, for United. It's watching Sporting smash City.
Yeah, my father was like, "How about Sporting, huh?" I was like, "Oh, you excited? You think he's gonna do that with your team?"
He could. Then he'll be laughing at the end of it. So
I want to talk a little United, but I'll save that for a little later. I want to talk. Yeah.
Do I want? See,
I know what you're thinking. You're saying Jacob should have picked Barca, so I don't have to talk about them.
I'm not picking Barca. I can't for the life of me do it. No, please, I'm not doing it. And that's all. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. See, I feel like I could pick any of the 2 through 4 because, I mean, Sporting, Monaco, Brest, 2 French teams. Christian, you and I were talking before. I mean, 2 French teams that are not named PSG. It's insane. Neither team has lost. None of those 3 teams have lost so far. They've all won 3 and drawn 1. So, man, I mean, Monaco beating Barcelona was the only thing I could hold against them, really. But no, I mean, really, any of those 3 teams. I mean, they've all scored at least 9 goals. They haven't conceded too many goals either. So, I mean, they're just beating the teams in front of them and finding ways to get results. So I know that's I'm kind of cheating there, but I feel like I had to kind of spread the love a little bit amongst those 3 teams.
Yeah, if you told me, and I said this to you before, Ricardo, if you told me that PSG of the 4 French teams is the last one, I would tell you you're lying. I mean, Lille is also right now in 14th. They would be playing in a knockout round, the playoff round.
The thing is, it's surprising and it's not surprising because this is not a very good PSG team. This is the worst team they've had in years.
I agree, and I totally understand where you're coming from.
I can't remember. I cannot remember PSG team being this bad in my recent memory.
Okay, but like they're still more talented than Monaco and Brest.
Yeah, even
that's
at
true.
the worst, you would think Monaco, okay, like solid team. Brest, they are not doing well in Liga.
Yeah,
who cares? I mean, they are flying in this competition. And Lille kind of has bounced up and down Europe in terms of the competitions, but Jonathan David is playing on an absurd level this season. He's got 12 goals in all competitions. He has helped them beat both Madrid teams in this competition.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of players, if we're just looking at players, specifically individuals, Jonathan David has played near the top of the levels this season in terms of Champions League. It's crazy to think that he is still at Lille. I think he is
won't
going to get a big move this summer.
Almost got one last summer.
Yeah, I mean, he should get a move to, I don't know, a team in England probably is the likeliest option. Plenty of teams could use them. So, yeah, Lille.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely the missing piece for Nottingham Forest.
No,
I think they're doing just fine with Chris Wood.
I mean, hey, they're a top 4 team.
they are. Yeah. God, it's still weird to say. Weird to think about. Jeez.
I guess before, I know Jacob wants to talk about Manchester United, but before we get to that, I do want to discuss Manchester City. I know Ricardo mentioned a pretty bad loss to Sporting. Do we feel concerned about them in terms of the Champions League down the line, or do we kind of think this is just a bump in the road? Jacob, I'll start with you.
I think it's more of a bump in the road. I mean, hey, Sporting's a really good team. They've had a great manager who's very highly regarded. Obviously, he's not going to be there for much longer, but they have a system. They play it and they execute it to perfection. So I do think that it's not like again, it's a Portuguese team, so I think and it's against City, so we take it with a grain of salt. But it's not like they lost to like Braga or like Young Boys. Then I'd be very concerned. But I'm not. This is City. Every time you want to count them out, it's the dumbest thing you can do. They're unkillable. Again, it's going to be very hard for them to navigate this year without Rodri. We all know that, and we know that because he just won the Ballon d'Or. But to me, if they as long as Holland is healthy, they're going to be fine. If he falls, then it's a different story because they can sort of replace Rodri positionally, not impact-wise, but positionally. They cannot replace Holland positionally.
Yeah. Good point.
But I think they're going to be fine.
I mean, you could play Bernardo Silva as a false nine again, like he did. What was it? 2 games ago?
Because how many goals is that going to lead to?
Yeah, not very many.
It did win a league without a natural 9.
I understand that, but that was a while ago.
I think if I wanted any manager to try to solve that puzzle, it's Pep. So I actually do think they could find a way to survive without Holland.
Which is crazy.
Maybe not without Rodri too. But if Rodri was still playing and Holland went down with an injury, I actually think they would be fine.
And yeah, that's different. But if both are down, yeah, I agree. I don't know. It'd be too hard to manage that. But I agree with Jacob. I think it's just a bump in the road. I feel like we all think that because they always go through this rough patch and then it's like they click, it all clicks together and then they just go on this insane run and then they're champions and it's the same old story for like the last 3 years. So I mean, the Rodri injury is pretty significant, as Jacob said. I mean, it might be a closer title race in the Prem, and then it might be more difficult in the Champions League for them, but I still think they're up there with, the best teams. They're Man City. They're still
dynasty.
A very good team.
Yeah, I think this period just shows everything about why Rodri is the player he is and why he's tier 1 at his position and every position. They just look totally different without him. And the goals they were giving up against Sporting don't happen with Rodri. That they were a mess, and having a control player like that in the midfield who can stay composed on and off the ball. That's we'll see how it works out. But yeah, he's in terms of importance among teams in the world, he is up there in terms of a guy that's irreplaceable. But before we go, I know Jacob did want to touch on Manchester United. For those who are unaware, Ruben Amorim, who, by the way, just beat Manchester City, is going to be coming in, I believe, after the November international window. First match, I believe, is against Ipswich. So United's getting a new manager in.
Perfect time to get your first. Although I will say this, you better hope if I were United, I wouldn't want to play them if they're still winless, especially against a manager who knows half the team. But that's another story. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this: Ruud van Nistelrooy, not bad. And if you're United, if he wins the next however many games they have, it'd almost be like, if I'm United, I hope that he can stay there, and he seems like he wants to stay there no matter what, because he's a loyal servant. He's one of the greatest players they've ever had, and the players are going to respect him because they know what he's accomplished. So I would keep him around. The bigger overarching theme is I want to get this back to Chelsea, because watching that game against Man U, I was very annoyed. Because to me, I actually thought that if that game was a draw, I actually thought that they were worse in that game than they were in their loss to Liverpool. I was really underwhelmed. I mean, I feel like they were playing Brentford. Like, they just couldn't get through this Man U team. Like, what the hell? Like, come on, this isn't some insane team that you can't break down. It's Man U. And this is why I got angry that they fired friggin' Ten Hag before they had to play my team. Because if they still had in, they would have been freaking disconnected, disjointed, but wisened up. Again, of course, Cole Palmer gets freaking cleated in the leg. No red card. It's clear as day. It's Lisandro Martinez who gets reds for fun, for crying out loud. So I don't really understand how, hey, not now. It's late in the game, blah, blah, blah. It's clear as day. And I am a little worried. I'm a little worried about Chelsea right now, because last few games haven't been great. They were not very good. They weren't great against Liverpool. They were very underwhelming in this game. They were lucky to get a draw, in my opinion. United had a lot more of the good chances than Chelsea did. And Palmer was a bit of a non-factor. And he was a bit of a non-factor against Liverpool. And again, all hail Cole Palmer. I love Cole Palmer. He's amazing. But I want a little more out of him in these big, big games. And I want a little bit more out of my team in these big games against big clubs. I don't care where United is in the table. It's still a big game. It's always going to be a big game. And this weekend, they get freaking Arsenal after 2 clean sheet losses in a row. And Cole Palmer might not play. You literally could not tell me. Jacob, do you want a terrible script for the game against Arsenal? Yeah. Give me that one. And people might say, "Oh, but they're struggling. They have injuries." I don't care. I don't want to play an Arsenal team that needs a win. And this Chelsea team, the last time they beat Arsenal at Stamford Bridge, I think was freaking 2018. Maurizio Sarri was the manager. Last year, they had them up 2-0. And then the brilliant goalkeeper gives the ball away to Declan Rice and basically gets an assist on a goal. And then they let freaking Trossard just go whoop and score a goal. And a game that could have been their best win of the year turned into one of their worst draws of the year. I understand Arsenal's a very good team, but this is something I want from this Chelsea team. Beat Arsenal. Beat either Arsenal, City, Liverpool at least once this year. Find a way to beat one of those teams. They got embarrassed last year at Arsenal. This is a little different because Chelsea are at home. Find a way to win the game. Again, if they don't, I'll take a draw, but It would be a huge accomplishment to me if Enzo Maresca could do this. That would be a signature win early on in his Chelsea tenure. And again, it would be needed because I think they got to get a little bit back on the road here. Hopefully it will happen tomorrow against some team called FC Noah that I've never heard of in the Conference League. That they better smash to bits. And the B team better be able to smash them to bits, or else I'm going to be very upset. But yeah, otherwise I feel okay. But yeah, a little concerned. Again, another thing, please stop playing Malagusto and Reece James. Just play one of them. You know, one. No, I don't want two right backs at once. Play one, and it should be Reece James. And also, can this team give one damn good corner, please? Every corner is never ever good enough. It's either short, it's over their head, it's in the goalkeeper's hands. Every time. You know who doesn't waste corners? Arsenal, which is a big concern for me this weekend. They have the best set piece coach in the world, and they take advantage of it. And again, Ricardo said, he said to us in our small group chat, he was like, oh, well, Arsenal, they can't score. And I said, no, if you don't understand, when they see Wesley Fofana on the team sheet, their eyes are going to light up like it's Christmas.
What, Kai Havertz's eyes are going to light up?
If he scores at the bridge, I'm going to puke.
Trossard his eyes are going to light up?
Well, they did. I told you, he got them a draw last year against Chelsea when he came in the game as a sub.
We'll see how many minutes Odegaard can get.
Yeah,
that's
hopefully not many.
I don't think it's gonna be more than 30.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because he played like 5 minutes tonight, basically garbage time minutes. I don't know. Probably too big of a risk to start him.
Just figure it out, Enzo. And if you can't play Cole Palmer, don't you dare play Enzo Fernandez.
Want to throw Maresca in the midfield?
Play himself. Yeah.
I might take Enzo Maresca as a midfielder over Enzo Fernandez right now. No,
I honestly think it would be your worst nightmare playing Enzo.
If they play Fernandez as a 10, I'm gonna scream. Put Nkunku or Zhao there. Maybe Dewsbury Hall. We'll see. Do not put Enzo there, please. Preferably Nkunku. I haven't done the full 180 on Zhao yet. Tomorrow I might, because he could dominate against this garbage team, which he's very good at doing. But I'm not ready to do the 180 yet.
Fair. But a little of a shorter episode tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll definitely be talking about the Champions League as it continues. 4 more match days to go. Plenty of discussion to be had about our teams that are obviously struggling and performing well. But that's all for us tonight. Thank you for watching. Please check us out on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well as you're watching it here. Thank you for tuning in, and see us next time.